Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good morning to this, the Tuesday edition of Vuka Nazo, your morning news analysis show. My name is Sikhle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Remember, your only price of admission here on the Vuka Nazo show is to hit that like button. That's right, hit that like button whether you're watching the simulcast on Facebook or on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube in particular, guys, subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And please share our content. If you want to support the work that we do here at Vuka Nazo, well, then contribute to our work. You know, anything between 50 to 100 Rand. We average about 75 Rand a month. And you can do that, of course, by finding a payment method on our website at bigdaddyliberty.com. Now, with that jibber jab out the way, how about we get straight into the news? All right, we begin here this morning with a warning from me, a warning that I've been issuing since the beginning of this mess for you to prepare yourself. Band together with your neighbors, find a solution that works for you if you cannot afford going at it solo, for instance, whether you're getting solar or a generator. Band together as neighbors to stave off the effects of what is likely going to be a stage 8 load shedding that is coming, effectively blackout, where we'll have between 12 and 14 hours of no electricity per day. We're very, very close to that. We have a situation now where more than half, that's 24,809 megawatts of Eskom's 48,000 megawatts are offline. That's over half of their electricity production is offline. Guys, it's coming, it is coming, it is coming. Stop waiting and hoping that some politician, Ramaphosa or Minister of Electricity nonsense that he announced is going to save you. They're not. You need to prepare for what is likely coming. Blackouts of that sort of length in time have serious ramifications for law and order and indeed social stability in a country. So you've got to prepare. Let me read from this News 24 piece, which basically detailed the extent of the shutdowns, planned and unplanned, that Eskom, that single point of failure, is now grappling with and making your problem. Now, planned outages of about 3,566 megawatts for maintenance work only account for about 14% of the generation capacity that is currently offline. So that's only 14% of planned outages. The rest, the effective 86% is unplanned outages. The piece continues to say, the rest, of course, of the 21,243 megawatts is due to unplanned breakdowns at the Arnott, Hendrina, Letabo, Majuba, and Camden power stations. Heavy rains have also prevented the delivery of coal from the new Vaal mine to Letabo power station. Letabo's 3 running units are at risk of shutting down if coal supply constraints are not resolved, which would mean more generating capacity would be lost. As a result, Eskom has warned of the possibility of further stages of load shedding at short notice. End of quote. There you have it. It is absolutely looking very, very dire. And indeed, those heavy rains out in the Vaal area, which we'll cover in a moment because it's caused massive flooding, are not helping the situation. But all of this is neither here nor there. There's always going to be some issue that crops up that sees Eskom, which is a single point of failure. And why? Because politicians who love believing the state should do everything have created and insist on maintaining that single point of failure. Eskom is always going to have some issue plague it, but for you, it is about you disregarding that and actually preparing yourself, your family, and your community. If you don't do this and continue believing that politicians are going to save the day, then woe are you, for you'll be sitting in darkness and all the evil that comes with it. All right, I'll take you now again, as mentioned in the previous story, to the Vaal area, towns like Parys, which effectively can only be described as an underwater paradise. I'm half expecting Ariel and or Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob to come out. I make fun of the situation, but really it's not funny. There are people who are deeply affected and people's lives who are disrupted by the widespread flooding. Of course, the heavy rains, seeing the dams in the area effectively overflow in a sense, forcing authorities to open the sluices in order to relieve some of the water pressure in the dams. That extra water in the Vaal River causing the flooding in the surrounding areas. Again, as I said, the town of Parys underwater at the moment in the Free State and in other parts of Gauteng and the like. Now, some houses, as I mentioned, along the river banks were flooded and residents were forced to evacuate their homes. The images that came out of that part of the world are absolutely tragic. I refer now to this EWN piece, which really captured some of the desperation on the images of people's homes flooded, property destroyed, and indeed lives placed at risk as people had to be evacuated. Indeed, as I said, the flooding, as you can see, causing massive damage to their cars, floating, down the river, down the water damage with roads washed away, people sort of walking, wading through, at times waist to even neck deep water, depending on where they are, bridges being overflown, extensive damage, and indeed a state of disaster having declared by the state. Goodness me, do they not like states of disasters? But this is an actual disaster that requires this response. So guys, to those of us who are maybe not affected by this, let's reach out, see if you have family in the area who you can support or assist with maybe sheltering them for a while, or help organizations which are likely doing the work of helping residents in that part of the world. This is the part where being a faith, flag, family, and freedom type society counts the most, when we help each other when we're in need. All right, in my final story for today, I take you to Cape Town. Now, if you're someone who visits Cape Town a lot, or maybe you live in Cape Town, you'll know that the state of the inner city and indeed surrounding areas right now is in an absolutely appalling state, and a shocking state, with the number of homelessness and the tents that are being pitched in and around the area. It is becoming not only an eyesore, but likely also a bit of a security issue, as most people do not feel safe anymore walking the streets of Cape Town. Again, I'm not saying all street and homeless people are dangerous and they're criminals, but it definitely is the kind of thing that harbors and can fester a situation of criminals hiding amongst these individuals. Now, when I last saw a report done by the city of Cape Town, which estimated the number of homeless people, in fact, memory serves me right, just over 5,000 people are estimated to be homeless in the Cape Town inner city. And trust you me, that number is reflected. You can see it now in the state of things, where it really has decayed. And there are, as I mentioned, homeless tents pitched all over the place. Now, I mentioned the story because the city of Cape Town, of course, which has been dealing with this problem, has been granted a High Court order to evict these individuals at various points across the city. The city itself was only expecting to receive this judgment around April, was likely planning and gearing for that, and will work with probably other stakeholders to try and assist these individuals, because the myth you'll often hear, especially from bleeding heart progressives who pretend to care about these people but actually don't, the myth they often perpetuate is that there's no help for these individuals. Whereas the mayor of Cape Town, Jordan Hill Lewis, commenting in an EWN story, painted a picture of the kind of resources the city and the Provincial Department of Social Development, which I used to be a spokesperson for, full disclosure for those who didn't know, actually offers very generous assistance to try and get people firstly off the streets and primarily reintegrated back into their families and communities, and in a tertiary manner, helping those individuals, a lot of whom are dealing with substance abuse, to get off those drugs and those substances. But nonetheless, as I said, Jordan Hill Lewis quoted in this EWN piece as having said the following: "No person has the right to reserve a public space as exclusively theirs, while indefinitely refusing all offers of shelter and social assistance. The city is working to add 420 more shelter beds to safe spaces in the CBD, with a 77 million rand budget for care interventions to help people off the streets this year alone." End of quote. Now, as I said, it isn't just the city of Cape Town that is offering these resources. The Provincial Department of Social Development, there are NGOs that do fantastic work. The Night Haven shelters in Cape Town, amongst others, who do excellent work in this part of the world, and some world-leading substance abuse management NGOs too. Sultan Bahu is one that comes to memory in this regard. So there are plenty of resources, but this is a problem that really does need a focus on the family. Families should be at the center of saying, hey, that's our relative, we care about him, assist us to bring him back home. That is how you begin to address the widespread eyesore, really, that is homelessness in Cape Town and really in other cities across the country. All All right, that's it from me here on the Tuesday edition of Vuka Nazo. Do you love how I begin your news day? Well, you love our friends over at the Daily Friend. They come to you Mondays to Thursdays live at 1:30 p.m. That's dailyfriend.co.za. With that being said, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, please, on your way out, and share the show. Just do that small favor. Like and share. That's it. It's all you need to do, to be a real fan of Vuka Nazo. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Guys, please visit our website at bigdaddyliberty.com. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, for another episode of Vuka Nazo.